Hi guys, this is a continuation from the previous Frogger video, and in this video we are going to add traffic to the road and collision response as well. So when Froggy hits a vehicle, he's going to get squished. We're going to play a nice little animation and it's going to reset your position back to the start position, and then you can try again to try and get home. So all of that happens after the fade. Alright, so welcome back. As I've said in the intro, I guess. What I'm going to do is I'm going to create all these prefabs today, and the only ones I really need just now are the tankers and these bulldozers and things. They're all I need to make this up of the separate pieces, so I'm going to do that. I'm not looking at the camera here. So I'm going to do that just now, and the way I'm going to do that is if I go to scene. I can go down to art, and remember that art has a whole bunch of blocks in here. So some of these are very, very easy to do. So for example, the race car, the bulldozer, those kind of things, those are very, very easy to do. The difficult one is going to be the truck, which is not really that difficult, but I'll show you how I'm going to build it. And once I've built this, I'm going to fast forward the video so that everything's all built. But essentially, I'm going to create another folder in here, create folder, and I'm going to call this prefabs. And I mean, really, what I could have done was I can drag Frogger player into the prefab. So Frogger player is now a prefab, and you can see it's turned a nice blue shade over in here. So anyway, so I'm going to back to the art here. I'm just going to drag these out one at a time, and then I'm going to create prefabs from them. The reason why I'm going to create prefabs is because I'm probably going to add scripts and things to them for collision detection, that kind of stuff. I haven't decided yet what I'm going to do as far as collision detection response is concerned, or at least response, because detection's handled for us by Unity. But anyway, okay, so the first one is the gas tanker. So we've got a gas tanker here, and we have another gas tanker here. And so these two bits go together. Now, if I hold down the V key, I can actually snap these two together, which is super handy. And I'm going to create an empty game object, and I'm going to call this gas tanker, if I can spell, gas tanker. And for the first one, I'm going to choose the position of I'm going to get the position of this block here, and I'm going to paste that into here, paste component values. So then I'm going to take these two, and I'm going to drag and drop them into gas tanker. So now block 17 is at 000, and block 18 is at 16, blah, 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 blah. So I'm going to make that an even 16, and I'm going to make that an even 0, just to sort of tighten it up. And so you see when we zoom in here, we've got this here. Then I can go to here and I can add a box collider 2D, and the box collider 2D should, why am I not seeing it? Should be seeing it. Why am I not seeing it? Should be seeing it. Alright, we'll figure that out later. But anyway, that's the gas tanker done. So I'm going to go ahead and build all the other prefabs that I need, and I'm going to dump them all inside the prefabs folder. So I'm just going to drag and drop this one into here, and that's my gas tanker done. Yeah, so I'll see you after the speeded up bit of video. Now, the death icon is these these four blocks here. So I'm just going to drag them out there and drag them into here, and that will create a animation. So I'm going to go into Assets, Animations, and I'll call this Death or Frog Death Animation. Save. And that's all I need to have in there. I'm going to call that Frog Death. And so if we play this and go into Scene, you'll see that we have this animation here, which is going kind of a little bit too fast. So if we go to click on Frog Death Animation, click on here, and then we've got this one here. We'll make this, let's say, 3 frames a second. And now when we play it, it'll have slowed down considerably, 4 times as slow, which is about the right speed for it. Okay, and that's going to be a prefab as well. Okay, prefabs, boom, there we go. So that's a prefab as well. So all of these live over here, and that's fine. We can keep them in the game, doesn't really matter. In fact, it's probably a little bit faster when they load. We could argue that later. Okay, so this one here, we need to recreate this part here. So we have these yellow race cars, and probably we want to put them onto here. So if I go to prefabs, I can just start dragging these guys on to here. So let's say we have one here, one here, and then maybe one here-ish. Let's have one there. I think that's about the right spacing for them. Yeah, that sounds about right. And so when we go down to here, we can then choose, this is going to be, again, if I choose V, that's about right. So minus 96. What is that? Minus 88. Is that all right? These are world, aren't they? That's minus 96. Okay. Yeah, we're not going to get this exact. So minus 88. And that's about right. Okay. Now that's our line. Okay. And each line, or each one of these, is going to go that direction. So in Unity, we need to basically sort of spawn. We need to do the same thing that we did in the MonoGame one, which is get that to go there, and then have another one that matches that setup. So I should probably have thought about this before I did it, but never mind. But what I do want to have is I'm going to have this as a row. So I'm going to create an empty game object. I'm going to call this row 1. We'll call them rows. Row 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That kind of idea, because I think there's 5 rows in it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah. So we'll have 5 rows. 1 from the bottom, and then row 5 will be this row up here, and then 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and then home. So we're going for this one just now. So what is the distance between here and here? If I grab V, so that's, if I bring that to 1, 2, 3, 4, so that's 4 car spaces. And then I do the same thing for here. We do 1, 2, 3, 4. 4 car spaces. Okay. And so that is row 1, 0, row 1, 1. This is just for my sanity. This is not for reasons. Row 1, 2. Okay. This is just so that I know that what these values are. And then similarly, I want row 1 to be the same position as this first item, because I want them all to be uniform. So I'm going to go and grab copy component values, or sorry, copy component, and then I'm going to paste component value. So now this has taken the same value as that, and so I can take these and drag them into row 1. Okay, so that is row 1. So now this all is based on the fact that Unity now has nested prefabs, which is good. So I am going to have, this is the first row here. So I need another row that is one screen away from there. Basically, I need it to start here. So I'm going to take row 1 and I'm going to duplicate it. So now I have a copy of row 1. And row 1 starts at -96, which is 96 pixels that way. Our screen is, I don't think I wrote this down. Darn it. Okay, I need to write these things down. Let me write this down. Okay, I think it's 224. Oh, I can't remember. Let's see if this says. That's a screenshot. Nope. Help. Well, okay. What's this one here? This is 96, and that is 112. So 112 times 2. 112 times 2 is what? 224. Okay. So this has got to be 224 plus minus 96, which is run calc 224 minus 96, which is 128, which can't be right. Oh, wait. That's minus 96. Oh yeah, that is right. Yeah, sorry, what am I talking about? It is right. So row 1 copy, the shadow version of it, that is going to go at 128, okay, which is over here. Okay. So this is kind of similar to the way that we had it with the MonoGame project, and if you're not familiar with that, it's linked somewhere. It might be in the notes below. I hope it's in the notes below. I'm pretty sure I put them in the notes below. Anyway, so we run the game now, and we should have that, okay, which is good. This one here has to be 500, so it's got to be above everything else because we don't want this to show. In fact, it is going to show because it's still stuck out there. So I'm going to extend this yoink over there, and I'm going to extend this one over here, and that's going to be 500 as well because we don't want any of this to show. We want this to be dead center on the screen, and we don't want anything else on the outside there. So that is good. Everything looks centered, and we can move our guy. There we go. Little frog's moving, and that's good. Okay, so now we need to move our rows. So let's have, that's row 1, and then this is row 1 alt, for lack of a better word. And now what we need to do is we need to be very, very clever. What we need to do is we're going to swap these out the same way that we did, and so it's going to have a continual loop animation. That's the idea. Now, I'm sure we could do this in some great way using some animation-y thing, but I'm going to rely on good old-fashioned code because that's all I know. I'm a bit of a coder. So I'm going to call this row control, and row control needs two objects. So public game object row objects and public float speed. Don't need start. And what I'm going to do is it's always going to be, what did I say that was, 128 above that, because that's always whatever the screen is. Or at least let me do that as public float start position, public float well, okay, I can figure out public start position, and I know the screen size, so I'm going to say private static float screen width equals 224. Private float start position. Start pos equals row objects 0.transform.x. So whatever x is, that is the default position. Why is it complaining about that? There you go. That's why it's complaining about that. So on the update, I'm going to say row objects for each var go in row objects go.transform.position equals actually plus equals new vector 3 and then whatever the speed is, speed times time.delta time, comma 0, because we don't want to move it on the y-axis. And then we want to say if row objects 0.transform.x position.x is less than start position minus screen width. So if it's less than that, we want to swap those objects. So we want to say row objects 0 how do we want to do this? We want to move the second one to that one. So second one dot transform dot position equals row objects 0 dot transform dot position, and then we want to move the first one back again. So we're how did I describe this last time? I had visual aids. Here we go. Okay, so it's kind of like we're moving like this is sorry. We're kind of moving these two things here like that. So we're moving like that, and then we get to the edge of the screen, and then we kind of do this, and we're constantly moving. We're constantly swapping these out. So that's kind of what we're doing just now. So that one goes there, and then row objects 0.transform.position equals row objects 1.transform.position plus new vector 3 screen width 0. Okay. All right. So let me just bring some of these things down because I don't want these all over here. I'm going to create an empty object here called row controllers. row controllers. And we could probably have it all on the same thing, but I'm going to create new ones. So this is going to be row 1, add component row control, and then the row object is going to be row 1 and row 2, and then the speed is going to be minus 16. That's probably way too slow. Because that's 16 pixels per second. So we want this to kind of go faster than that. We want it to be, 16 pixels per second is 1, 2, so maybe 32 pixels per second. Okay, so if we play this, there we go, we have our cars moving. And we should have a continual movement of cars, and we shouldn't see any flicker or jumps. Although we look like we're going to get some jumps. Yeah, we're getting jumps. That's not good. Okay, well, let's hide these for just now. Actually, side curtains, we can go book and get rid of those. And then we can play this and then go to scene. So that should do the swap now. It did not do the swap. Oh, because start pos is 0, that's why. Okay, so if we go back to row controllers for row 1, we need to set the start position set in code. Oh, maybe start position's wrong. Okay, let's try. Maybe this is picking it up wrong. Maybe we need to do it manually. Ugh, I don't like that. Okay, it's picking up as 96. So that's good. So that is increasing. That's good. See, it's not. Start position. That's gonna be start position plus that. Let me just fix that there. Minus that. Okay, so it's start position plus screen width, which is going to give us minus 128, and then we want to get the negative of that so that it's the left-hand side of there. Okay, so that means that it is now going to be negative 128 pixels here, which doesn't seem right. No, that is right. No, jumping in there. There's weird jumpiness there. Yeah, that's not good. Oh dear, that's not right. Okay, so this is going to get to here. Actually, it's going to be hold on a minute. I need to make this as generic as possible, which is why I'm trying to think about how to do this here. Okay, so the problem is I have this character here, and I want him to remain in the screen. So, so he's moving along here. And then when this character, see, it's got to be that character. So it's when this one goes off the screen, I've got to swap it out. Okay. So that's the last one. Okay, so that's the last one there. So when the last one goes to 0, we've got to swap everything out. And then everything else just stays the same. I don't think that's right, is it? I think we need to... Let me think of it. Okay, got it. All right, I'm checking the wrong thing. I need to say if this one, if 1 is, if the trailing one, if the trailing one, see, I need to know the trailing one, that's the problem. Okay, so, well, I'm only ever going to have 2 objects, so let's just hard code that. Private game object, leading, private game object, trailing. And I'm going to say trailing equals row objects 1, leading equals row objects 0. So I'm adding the positions there, and I want to say if trailing.transform position is less than or equal to the start position, then I want to swap those ones out. So I want to say leading.transform.position equals trailing.transform.position. And then I want to say trailing.transform.position equals leading.transform.position plus that. Okay, let's check this. Let's check it anyway. So if the caboose of the train, well, let's call it caboose. Rename. Okay, so if the caboose is less than or equal to the start position, in other words, the train is now over to here, what we want to do is we want to then swap out and put this one over here. But we can't have the first car, we can't keep swapping the first car and the trailing car out. So what we're going to do is, instead of moving this to here, we're basically going to move everything back to its original position, or to, okay, what we're going to do is we're going to take this position here and we're going to make the leading car one that position. Then we're going to take this one and move it back to where it was. Okay, sorry, it's been a long week. It's always my excuse. Okay, so now we have these guys. No, hopefully no glitchy. I think that's okay. Don't think there's any glitchiness. There we go. Cars are coming in at the right side. Okay, so let's put the screens back on. Our side curtains. And then let's look and see if we've got a continuous bit of road. Okay. No popping in. Everything looks good. All right. Okay, that looks good. All right, so I'm going to do exactly the same thing again, but I'm going to do it with all these other objects here. So I'm going to go and do that, and I'll be back in a bit. Okay, so what's happened here is when you go to the left, it's not going to be less than it. It's going to be greater than it. So the bulldozer one works just fine for the first time round. That's the second bulldozer there. And you can see that it's moving there, but then it never respawns again. And the reason why is because of this less than or equal to start position. So I need to make it, that's going to be greater than or equal to start position. So I'm going to say if, let's do bool switch equals, oh, can't call it, switch cars equals switch, yeah, oh, that's a terrible analogy. Crisscross applesauce equals false. So we're going to say if start pos is less than 0, that's crisscross even. Crisscross equals that, else that, and then we'll say crisscross there. And again, we could actually bring this down into 1, but I'm not gonna. I'm just gonna leave it as is. So if the starting position is on the left-hand side of the screen, that means we're going that direction. And if it's greater than 0, we're going in that direction. So that determines what function we then use to swap the cars out. So now, well, that didn't work. In fact, I don't even know where they've gone. Where are they? They've just disappeared. I don't see them. Help! Due to floating point position limitations, it is recommended to bring the world coordinates of the game object within a smaller range. Eesh, what have I done? Okay, let's see why that's happened. Oh, this is so much easier in MonoGame. Well, that's a good one. Okay, so let me just put that down to there. In fact, let me turn off row 1. Boom. Okay, so it's currently at 72.5. So transform position is, see, that's going to be negative. That's going to be negative if that is true. Okay. All right. You know what? I'm going to figure this out later on. Private bool going left equals true. If going left else it's going to be greater than or equal to there, and that is going to be negative that. And to hell with optimization just now. We can get rid of that though. Going left, and then we can say going left if start pause is greater than 0 equals false. Okay, so if it's going right, then we're going to do the alternate calculation. All right, Frogger. I'm never doing Frogger again. This is the last Frogger version I'm doing. I was going to do one for Python. I'm like, I can't remember. It's just, well, it's worked. That's good. Okay. All right. Onward with the rest of them. Okay, so what I have now is this here. This racing car I'm not particularly happy with. I'm going to leave it just now. We'll fix that in a later video because I want to move on to collision detection and response. And so I want to do that. Now, this is looking pretty good. This feels like Frogger. So let's get on with the collision detection. So let's get rid of, we've got Frogger player, gas tanker, all of these things here. These are all the sort of ones that we have over on the side here. So let's just get rid of those. We need these because those are actually part of these rows here. And we have our row controllers, and we have all the rows there. Side curtains, bottom walkway, home frame, center walkway. And then we have the river, which is this stretch here. And I don't know what that is. What is that? What is that? I don't know what that is. Sprite, something or other. Oh, it's that. Okay. Okay, let's just leave that just now. Okay, I think that's turned off for a reason. Yeah, because it's this one here. Okay, that's why. It's looking pretty good. Yeah, that kind of shows where we are with this. Okay, so when you hit something, we want to know about it. And the way we're going to do that is we are going to have each of these controllers are going to have, well, I guess we can put a script, a wire script on them anyway. So each one of these prefabs has got a hitbox associated with them, but it doesn't have a script on them. So we can open up the prefab editor, which is kind of nice, and we can add a component to it. So the component we're going to add to it is whether the player has hit. Actually, no, we can just have it as, we don't need it on there. We can just have it on the frog. Let's do it on the frog. So the collider is just going to be a trigger. So we're going to set that to be a trigger. And then what else do we need to do for that? Let's tag it, add tag, and the tag will be vehicle. So let's call it vehicle as in lowercase vehicle. And then let's do the same thing for bulldozer. So we'll call it vehicle, and we'll make sure it's a trigger. And speedster as well is a trigger, and it is vehicle. And white racer is a trigger, and it is most certainly a vehicle. And this is also a vehicle, and it is also a trigger. Did I set that to be a trigger? I did. Okay. So all of these are now set up to be there. So inside the Frogger, I'm going to have on trigger enter. So we have our moving here, we have our update. So let's have void on trigger on override. Okay, why are you doing this to me? Is it because I'm doing it in the wrong place? It doesn't like that. On trigger. Okay, well, let's go back to Unity documentation. community on trigger enter 2D. Where are we? Okay, so on trigger blah 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 blah, and fixed update on trigger enter 2D. That's the one I want, and I'm going to paste that in there. Void. Okay. If call.tag equals vehicle, print ow. So when we enter that trigger, we want to print ow. Okay. So let's bring up the console, and if we move, now the reason is one of these has to have a rigid body, and Frogger player does not have a rigid body yet. Collider 2D. So now we have a rigid body, and we might as well tag it as player. And we're going to also add a rigid body 2D. And constraints, freeze rotation, info, and that's about it. Body type dynamic. Should it be kinematic? I think it's kinematic. Let's run it and see what happens. I can never remember. There we go. So ow, 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 ow. Okay, so all of this is working. I don't know if you can see over. Just I guess it's going to be up. Nope, up there. Up there. You can see it every time I get hit. It shows me these owl signs, which is good. Okay, so instead of owl, what we're going to do is we're going to play an animation. So I'm going to have public game object death prefab, and then we're going to have public float death cooldown, and that period is going to be that. So death cooldown, or death cooldown. Actually, I should be putting underscores in here. Oops. Actually, that's going to be if death cooldown equals 0 is greater than 0. Death cooldown equals death cooldown minus time dot delta time. If death cooldown is less than 0, death cooldown equals 0. Return. So we don't want the player to do anything when they do that. Okay, and then we also want to reset them to that position. So I'm going to say public no, I don't want public, I want private. Private vector3 initial position, and this is going to be inside the start. Void start. Position equals this the transformed up position. And so when you die, if death cooldown is greater than 0, return. We don't want you to die again. Death cooldown equals 1. And then it's going to be instantiate death prefab, and then the transform is going to be the position. So transform dot position, and what's it complaining about? Parent rotation patterning dot identity. And I'm missing something. What am I missing here? I mean, ideally we want a boo kind of sound, but we don't have that just now. So we get the cooldown. We're going to instantiate that. Oh yeah, we want to hide the to-do hide froggy. And then in here we want to do, well actually we know what the Frogger is, don't we? So we've got game object frog sprite. So we want to do frog sprite dot visible set active false, and then up here we want to say set active true, but we also want to say transform dot position equals initial position, because we want to move it back to the original position. So when you die, you do the death animation and then you move back to where we are. So there's our original position. Oh, well, that is not good. Seeing as how we have already died. Okay, well, at least we can set this. So there is our death prefab, which is here. And okay, I think we need to tighten up the hit box for the player, because it's a bit size. Let's bring it in a little bit. So let's make that 0.8, 0.8. I mean, it doesn't look like it's moving. Why doesn't it look like it's moving? Do I already have that on here? That'll be why. Let me remove this component here. Move component there, and then we go back up to here. Okay, so 0.8, 0.8. Why is it not showing? That looks tiny. Why is that tiny? Okay. Well, it's tiny. Where's my cursor? Here we go. And I mean, we kind of want to make that square, so let's make that 10 by 10. Okay. So now you shouldn't die every 2 seconds, which is right. And then we go into here, boom, he's dead. So we need to get it to stop playing after that animation. So we're going to have to create another animation that destroys that one, which we'll do, and then that'll be the last thing that we do for this video. Boom. So it is working, and it is boom. You're dying. It's good. And you're definitely like, we need to reset the position as well, the rotation and things as well. Let's just mark that as a to-do. Do reset rotations. Okay, so the next thing to do is we're going to have to stop the animation from looping. So we're going to do that just next. Right, first job, is it looping? Because I'm pretty sure it is. So we go to animation, samples, blah, 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 frog death. Okay. Fire motion, blah, 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 blah. Climb mode, update mode. Unskilled time, avatar none. Alright. Okay. So if I do the preview. Okay, so that's going to go, that's at 1 second it plays that. So we want it to stop. So it's 1.1 seconds it plays for. Then we want to kill it. So what I reckon is we can just kill it at 1 second. So if I go back to here and then go to scripts and then create C# script, kill script, and my kill script is just going to be a couple of lines. Enumerator float, public float duration equals 1, yield return new wait for seconds duration, and then destroy game object. And that is it. That is all we're going to do for that, and that is going to kill everything. So if I go to our death animation again and double click that, click on add kill script, so it's set to 1. So when you die now, it will die after 1. So it's a little bit too quick, so let's make it 1.1, because that's how long the animation lasts for, is 1.1 seconds. Actually, I think it's 1.2 seconds it actually lasts for, so we'll see how that goes. Okay, let's make it 1.2. Let's push it again, because I think it is actually 1.2 for the full sweep of animation. There we go. Okay, so now when you die, oh, it did. So we need to make that at the top as well. So the sprite order and layer, let's make that 400 so that it's above everything, because we want it to, like, if you die here, then it should be above the nice purple carpet. I'm assuming it's a sidewalk, but I mean it looks like a purple carpet. So yeah, so that's really kind of the bare bones that you have for. Oh, that one doesn't. I don't have a collider on that back one, so I need to fix that. Let's do that just now. Let's go to here. So blocks has that, blocks has that, but the box collider does not have it because it is super tiny. So let's make that bigger on the x-axis, like so. And then we'll do an offset to here, make it a little bit bigger. Let's make it 26. And we'll make it bigger on the Y to about there. There we go. It doesn't need to be like super de-duper accurate. We're not going for awesome. Oh, well, let's try and not get killed. There we go. So just walk right into that one. And then let's try the caboose now. There we go. Okay, so you're gonna die. All right, so that's a go. Okay. Cool. Ladies and gentlemen, Frogger, if you want to stop there. Okay, we're not going to stop there. All right, so next time we're going to do, let me move over onto here. So next time we're going to handle the getting the frog home. So offline, what I'm going to do is I'm going to add the logs. Actually, no, I'm not. We're going to do the logs next week. Cancel that whole thing. We're going to do the logs next week, and the turtles, and the other things that go in the sea, in the river, and we're going to do that next week. And then the week after that, we'll then do getting the frog home, because unfortunately we can't actually get the frog home because if we go back to this, you can see that because of the way that the frog, oh yeah, you're gonna die there. That's a bit of a problem. The river's now lava. Okay. Well, the problem is that it doesn't line up with that, so we can't do that until next time. So, or to the time after that. So we need to do the river stuff. So next time we'll do the river stuff, which is kind of the inverse of this. So instead of colliding with things, it's safe. But we have to do that once you have landed on the river. So we can't do it immediately. So right now you can see it's when it immediately does that, we need to have a trigger to see if you have landed on a bad thing, or if you've landed on a log, for example. Anyway, if you liked this video, hopefully you did like this video and you got this far, feel free to subscribe, hit the notification bell, all that kind of stuff. It's a free country, do what you want. If you wouldn't mind sharing, that would be great as well. You can share on social media. You can share on Twitter, Facebook, whatever you want. I actually have a Facebook page. And I have a podcast with my brother as well, which the links are all in the show notes below. And yeah, if you like this video, then thumbs up. If you don't like the video, thumbs down. Please leave a comment below if you want, but it helps me understand what you guys want in the video. Anyway, I do hope you enjoyed this, and thank you all for watching this and getting to the end. And I will catch you in the next video. Bye bye.